baby. I cook for you. I love you long time. I will take you for long walks on the beach. I'll do all that romantic shit because I love you, baby. Come on. I'll take you to my country. Oh, damn, good memories. Oh shit. All right, we're loaded. Oh, it's taking a minute. Okay. All right. Cognitive dispositions. We're going to go ahead and start off on some interpersonal communications just because it's relatively easy. Get the momentum going. Oh, let me turn my brightness down for it. Need to be able to see. But now I see. All right. Let's go ahead and run through the schedule. So this is what we're going to be tackling for this video. Our little itinerary schedule, whatever you want to call it. So objectives for July 14, 2026. We're going to be going into Managerial Accounting, Chapter 21. In the textbook, we're going to be reading Measuring Behavior, Scatter Diagram, and the High-Low Method. If we have time for more, which we really should, because this is a priority we need to do. We'll read more. Need to get done with textbook 21 so I can take the exam definitely by midnight tonight. Exam for chapters 20 and 21, Smartbook concepts. I'm going to go ahead and try to wrap up the other half of that. Homework assignment, going to do those ideally. Interpersonal communications, chapter 3, going to be reading about cognitive dispositions, locus of control, cognitive complexity, and authoritarianism and dogmatism. I don't think I have a quiz right now or an exam. Check that off. And then an assignment. I know I have one of those, but we'll get to that when we get to it. For the Bible, the New American Bible Revised Edition, we're going to be looking at the lands of the Bible, Egypt, Mesopotamia, and Assyria. Adding that to my chronological timeline of events in my notes section. For the conglomerate and the coalescence, we have 3 notes we're trying to get to. That's going to get, it's going to be Animate Pet Sanctuary, Fire in the Horizon, and Casanova Consultations. I'll go into more detail when I get to those. For additional research, we're going to be looking at the process of conversion, the brainwashing debate. In computers, we're going to be, or regarding computers, we're going to be looking at logic bombs and time bombs, just relating to the CIS class I was taking, just kind of delving into that. And then the 1 drop rule. I can't remember where I learned that, but we're going to find out. And some contacts, and we can add more if we need to, but that's what we got so far. So let's start chipping away at it and get her going. All right, interpersonal communications, chapter 3, cognitive dispositions. Cognitive dispositions refer to the general patterns of mental processes that impact how people respond and react to the world around them. These dispositions, or one's natural mental or emotional outlook, take on several forms. For our purposes, we'll briefly examine the 4 identified by John Daly: locus of control, cognitive complexity, authoritarianism, dogmatism, and emotional intelligence. I just want to check real quick, make sure I didn't stove on. Did I leave the stove on? I might be trouble. Focused. Something outside, I don't know. All right. So we have locus of control, cognitive complexity, authoritarianism / dogmatism, and emotional intelligence. For locus of control, one's locus of control refers to an individual's perceived control over their behavior and life circumstances. We refer to 2 different loci or loci. I forget how that's pronounced. Hey Google, how do you pronounce LOCI?
I found this on the web.
Just tell me. How do you pronounce LOCI? Is it loci or loci? Loci?
It's most commonly pronounced loci, rhyming with the word sky. You might also
Make sure I get it right. We refer to 2 different loci when discussing locus of control. First, we have people who have an internal locus of control. People with an internal locus of control believe that they can control their behavior and life circumstances. For example, people with an internal dating locus of control would believe that their dating lives are ultimately a result of their behavior and decisions regarding dating. My dating life exists because of my choices. The opposite of internal locus of control is the external locus of control, or the belief that an individual's behavior and circumstances exist because of forces outside of the individual's control. That makes both. An individual with an external dating locus of control would believe that their dating life is a matter of luck or divine intervention. This individual would also be more likely to blame outside forces if their dating life isn't going as desired. We'll periodically revisit locus of control in this text because of its importance in a wide variety of interpersonal interactions. I just wouldn't think too much about it. If it happens, it happens. If it doesn't, it doesn't. I say work on yourself, and if you're really that great, people are just going to be coming to you. You don't have to work hard. Like, this is literally what happened to me. I was just like, I was so focused on trying to go after it without like improving myself, and then I basically just improved myself, got smarter, got more socially adapted, connected to people, and now, oh, and also working out and stuff. And then now I go out, and it's hard to go out and not have somebody come up to me and talk to me. So yeah, people naturally just gravitate to you. So like one of the things that I say is don't chase the wedding ring, chase the championship ring, and the wedding ring will come naturally. Because like basically you get the championship ring, like if you're a girl, men are gonna come flocking to you. Obviously they're gonna be like, oh my God, that's amazing. And then if you're a guy, women are gonna be like, oh my God, I want to be the champ. And so it's kind of how it works. So yeah, don't chase the wedding ring, chase the championship ring. The wedding ring will come naturally as like partners are supposed to be a complement to your life. They're not supposed to be the focus of your life. They're supposed to help out, be like a cushion when you need it, but also support when you're doing great. So positive reinforcement, stuff like that. So not really supposed to be the focus anyway, but people like see other people and compare themselves to other people, saying like, oh my God, these people are so happy in relationships. Why am I not like them? And yeah, it's not the right thought process there. It's like, it doesn't matter. You're doing the best you can. You're doing you. You have a different life. You're a different person. Shit like that. Like, don't worry about what other people are doing. Like, just worry about you. Focus on improving yourself. Like, good isn't good enough. Great isn't great enough. Only perfection is satisfactory. Even though perfection is not attainable, it's always a worthwhile pursuit. Because what was that saying? Shoot for the moon, and even if you miss, you land amongst the stars. Stuff like that. But basically just keep on improving. Like, everybody's human. Even the best person out there is still human and thus flawed. And so there's still room for improvement no matter who you are. And so just keep on improving, and then get that championship ring one day, and the wedding ring will just randomly pop up out of nowhere. For me, I'm not like personally, I'm not looking into like getting too involved in dating and stuff. I got my own personal stuff going on. If it happens, it happens. I mean, it's happened before. But like it's more like just hooking up because I'm not really. I need to get better at texting back. Like I don't respond that well. So I'm like I just kind of get wrapped up in things. Like, what was it just last night? I was like, oh, let me get back to her, and then freaking 3 or 4 hours pass, and I'm like, oh crap, forgot. I kind of get wrapped up by my own thing. Not because I don't care, it's just because I'm busy. I got priorities, and there's a lot of issues in the world that need to be helped, and there's other people that need to be helped, and I don't know. I'm still getting mine. I'm good, and so I am not a whore. I show people a good time. It's always a good time, man. Everybody has fun. I get good reviews. I know they're having a good time. They get what they need, and I get what I need, and move on with their lives. Yup. Chase the wedding ring, not the champion, or chase the championship ring, not the wedding ring, not the wedding ring. Chase the championship ring. The wedding ring will come eventually. Like, it's a pretty good way of putting it. Yeah, dude. Especially when you're young, man. I think especially being like a teenager, like I was definitely, I'll admit, I was guilty of it, where I was essentially younger, not really having a whole lot of experiences with a lot of people. So like kind of the first thing I saw, she's watching this, she knows who she is. But it did not go well just because I had no idea what the fuck I was doing. I was young, I was like all in love and shit. And I was like you're my world, I'll do anything for you. Blah 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 blah. All this shit that you like see in romance movies and blah blah blah. And you just kind of regurgitate and hopefully it sounds good and works. And yeah, no, it doesn't because you got to have other things going on for you. So yeah, you gotta, I don't know, keep yourself physically fit. That's like kind of like a superficial aesthetic thing. Like if you want more just attention right off the bat, like it's definitely good for first impressions. So it doesn't hurt you in any way, like being physically fit. But it's not only that. Like you can be like the sexiest motherfucker in the world, or you can be the hottest chick in the whole entire world. But if you're an asshole, or if you're a dumbass, or you're a pussy, or you're just got all like you don't really have any personality, or you're boring, or blah 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 blah. Like if you don't have anything else going on for you, really, like that first impression isn't going to last very long, and eventually it's not going to work out for you. So you got to have other things to rely on. Like variety's the spice of life, man. Just take that into yourself and be like, not only am I good at baseball, I'm good at science topics, stuff involving space, stuff involving engineering, architecture, even to an extent interior design, but that's not really like my main focus. Like I just kind of happen to get sort of naturally good at those things just by being exposed to it. But say archery, somewhat still practicing that. I want to get good at falconry. Shooting, marksmanship. It's one thing I've always been really good at. Again, I'm more into non-lethals and stuff like that, so it's not really a skill I'm trying to use anyway. Um, I'd say maybe that comes from my pitching, just coordination. Either way, but very wide range of topics now. Just pumping my noggin full of information. Good at cooking, grilling. I can cook for you, baby. Definitely good at stuff in that room. And then but yeah, set a little bit of range goes a long, long way. Like guys and girls, they both like being partnered up with somebody that they can rely on, and you're more reliable, like as you have more abilities to do various things. Like if you're only good at this one thing, like all right, this person can count on you for this one thing, but somebody that's good at a whole lot of things, that's the person I'm probably going to want to be with because they can count on you in a whole lot more different situations. So versatility and variety is extremely important when it comes to developing your character. So it's going to take time. It's going to take patience. It's going to take practice, repetition, and eventually you'll get there. You're not an MLB player when you first pick up a baseball. It's going to take like 10 years of you growing into your body and then more years of practice and practice and practice and competition with others. And then, I mean, what do people usually join MLB? Probably like early 20s. But even mid 20s, you got freaking Arenado for the D-backs. He's 35, still fucking going hard. Making a diving catch, dude. Shout out to Arenado. Sorry. Getting off topic. All right, let's hone in. It's kind of weird because I try to work on my ADHD, but at the same time, like it has definitely been a benefit in some ways. Like sometimes I'll be telling a story and I'll lose my train of thought, so that's not good. But um, other times I'm just like just really quick with being able to come up with stuff. So pros and cons of that, but kind of reining it in, just adapting, regulating it, managing it, and just sort of calibrating it so it gets to kind of like an ideal state. So it becomes more of a tool rather than a liability. It becomes an asset rather than a liability. like taking things that some people see as weaknesses and turning them into strengths. They're only weaknesses when you look at them from a certain perspective. Black or white here, I feel like there are some exceptions. All right. Where were we? Locus of control, for example, okay, dating, All right. An individual with an external, individual will be more likely to blame outside forces. We'll periodically revisit locus of control in this text because of its importance in a wide variety of interpersonal interactions. I'm sure it pretty much impacts so many aspects of life. Cognitive complexity. According to John Daly, cognitive complexity has been defined in terms of the number of different constructs an individual has to describe others, in other words, differentiation, the degree to which those constructs cohere or integration, and the level of abstraction of the constructs or abstractiveness. By differentiation, we're talking about the number of distinctions or separate elements an individual can utilize to recognize and interpret an event. For example, in the world of communication, someone who can effectively attend to another individual's body language can differentiate large amounts of nonverbal data to understand how another person is thinking or feeling. High EQ, motherfucker. Someone with low differentiation may only understand a few pronounced nonverbal, few of the pronounced, more emphasized, or more obvious nonverbal behaviors. Integration refers to an individual's ability to see connections or relationships among the various elements he or she has differentiated. It's all connected. It's one thing to realize several unique nonverbal behaviors, but the ability to interpret nonverbal behaviors that enable someone to be genuinely aware of someone else's body language. It would be one thing if I could recognize that someone is smiling, an eyebrow is going up, head is tilted, and someone's arms are crossed in front. Still, if I cannot see all of these unique behaviors as a total package, then I won't be able to interpret this person's actual non-behavior. So what does this mean? So arms crossed, smiling, eyebrows up, head's tilted. It's like maybe skepticism, like trying to be nice, but like say some dude's trying to like approach a girl and he's like says a line, feels all confident, he's like, haha, that went great, and you're like, did she give you your number though? Nope. Try again. Maybe a different one. New approach. It's plenty out there. Overall, cognitive complexity is a critical cognitive disposition because it directly impacts interpersonal relationships. According to Bryant Burleson and Scott Kaplan, cognitive complexity impacts several interpersonal constructs. 1, form more detailed and organized impressions of others. 2, be able to remember impressions of others. 3, be better able to resolve inconsistencies in information about others. 4, learn complex social information quickly. And 5, use multiple dimensions of judgment in making social evaluations. These findings clearly demonstrate that cognitive complexity is crucial in determining an individual's ability to understand and make judgments about others in interpersonal interactions. Authoritarianism and dogmatism. Authoritarianism slash dogmatism. Authoritarianism or dogmatism. I know the parentheses are typically like or and then slash. All right, we'll see. Authoritarianism, dogmatism. According to Jason Wrench, James C. McCorsky, and Virginia Richmond, Virginia. I wonder if her parents knew that when they were naming her. 2 personality characteristics that commonly impact interpersonal communication are authoritarianism and dogmatism. Authoritarianism is a form of social organization where individuals favor absolute obedience to authority or authorities as opposed to individual freedom. The highly authoritarian individual believes that individuals should just knowingly submit to their power. Ugh, gross. Individuals who believe in authoritarianism but are not in power believe that others should submit themselves to those who have power. if they're legit and if they're doing the right things. Gotta look deeper at it. Dogmatism, although closely related, is distinct from authoritarianism. Dogmatism is defined as the inclination to believe one's point of view as undeniably true based on faulty premises and without consideration of evidence and the opinions of others. Individuals who are highly dogmatic believe there is generally one point of view on a specific topic, and it's their point of view. My way or the highway. That's most of the time bullshit. So, red flag. Highly dogmatic individuals typically view the world in terms of black and white. How many times did I say that's not how we think? It's a horrible way of approaching the world. You're gonna fuck up. Black and white while missing most of the shades of gray that exist in between. 50 Shades of Gray. Dogmatic individuals impose their beliefs on others and refuse to consider any variation or debate about these beliefs, which can lead to strained interpersonal relationships. Yup. People being stubborn as hell, and that's dumb. Yeah, you're being stubborn as hell and you're not open-minded and you're just like not even open to discussing a topic. It really reflects on you and it makes you look stupid as hell. So just be aware of that. So having an open mind, being understanding of others shows a very high level of intelligence versus being closed-minded and like someone feeling like they're talking to a brick wall by being you if you're stubborn as hell. It's not a good look on you, and it makes you look like it just makes you look like a dumbass. For lack of a better word at the moment, I'm just trying to keep her going. Where were we? Both authoritarianism and dogmatism tap into the same broad idea. Some people are more rigid than others, and this rigidity affects both how they communicate and how they respond to communication. One closely related term that has received some minor exploration in interpersonal communication is right-wing authoritarianism. According to Bob Altmeyer in his book, the right-wing authoritarians, RWAs, tend to have three specific characteristics. All right, 1, 2, 3. RWAs, or right-wing authoritarians, believe in submitting themselves to individuals they perceive as established and legitimate authorities. 2, so basically sheep. RWAs adhere strictly to social and cultural norms. Pawns. 3, RWAs become aggressive towards those who do not submit to established legitimate authorities and those who violate social and cultural norms. You're blind, but I'll make you see. Please understand that Altmeyer's use of the term right-wing does not imply the same political connotation that is often associated with it in the United States. As Altmeyer explains, because the submission occurs to traditional authority, I call these followers right-wing authoritarians. I'm using the word right in one of its earliest meanings for an Old English, right, or pronounced writ, as an adjective meant lawful, proper, correct, doing what the authorities said of others. Under this definition, right-wing authoritarianism perfectly combines both dogmatism and authoritarianism. Right-wing authoritarianism has been linked to several interpersonal variables. For example, parents or guardians who are RWAs are more likely to believe in a highly dogmatic approach to parenting. In contrast, those who are not RWAs tend to be more permissive in their approaches to parenting. Yeah, both my parents are definitely RWAs. It's definitely why there's a lot of tension. Relations are better now, but a lot of tension. So yeah, they didn't have open minds, man. They weren't open to any alternative thoughts, and essentially like they're just basically my way, the highway kind of thinking, and it's not something you can work with. So Yeah. They're older. They seem to have, I don't know, we seem to have been able to talk and learn from each other, and they've gotten better. I've gotten better. So both of them both have improved, and both adjusted, and we know how to act around each other. Like, it's still at a point where I'm like, I'm not totally myself. I'm like this limited version of myself, just so I don't have to deal with a lot of other inconveniences and problems. But I mean, to an extent, making certain sacrifices just to, coexist and move forward in a better way. So we're not just constantly just going at each other's throats. It's focusing more on what you have in common. Like I said, I've said so many times before, you can disagree with 99% of the things people do, say, or are, but that 1%, just the fact that they're my parents, were blood related, and the fact that I feel like just, normally it's right to have a good relationship with your parents. And so I made an effort to figure out ways to get along with them better. So not ideal yet, but it's definitely better. It's improved. But yeah, people with RWA thinking, it's not an easy road, man. They're not the easiest to deal with, but they're still human. We got to treat them accordingly, and so got to try to understand where they are, even if they're not trying to understand us and they're closed off. We got to be open minded to them, maybe understand why, and keep on trying to work with them to maybe eventually see if we can change them and push them in the right direction. So even with my own parents, I kind of had to do all that. So we're pushing people in the right direction. All right, overall, hold on. Men with high RWA scores tend to be considerably more sexist and believe in highly traditional sex roles, which impacts how they communicate and interact with women. Yeah, that's funny. I see some dudes like that out there, and it's to a certain extent, like there's differences between men and women. Like I feel like a lot of this should be more common sense, but maybe it's just me. But times are changing, but like women should be have equal opportunity to do a lot of things, but because of physical differences, because of genetics, there are certain things that like men are better at, certain things that women are better at, and then we can use that to complement each other. But yeah, just sticking rigidly to old like gender roles or sex roles and stuff like that is it's a dangerous slope. It's a slippery slope because people change, things change, technology changes, business changes, society changes, and got to be able to adapt to people's wants, needs, desires within reason, as long as like we're staying realistic. But got to be adaptable, man. All right. Overall, RWA tends to negatively impact interpersonal interactions with anyone who does not see an individual's specific worldview and does not come from their cultural background. Emotional intelligence. Emotional intelligence is an individual's appraisal and expression of their emotions and the emotions of others in a manner that enhances thought, living, and communicative interactions. Emotional intelligence, while not a new concept, really became popular after Daniel Goleman's book, Emotional Intelligence. Social psychologists had been interested in and studying the importance of emotions long before Goleman's book, but this book seemed to shed new light on an old idea. Goleman drew quite a bit on a framework that was created by two social psychologists named Peter Salovey and John Mayer, who I'm assuming it's a different John Mayer. Say what you need to say. Is it the same spelling though? I don't know. These guys coined the term emotional intelligence in an article in 1990. In the Salovey and Mayer framework for emotional intelligence consisted of four basic processes. Figure 3.8 pictorially demonstrates the four basic parts of Solovey and Mayer's emotional intelligence model. We have four different angles. I'm just going to call them north, east, south, and west because you got four different arrows converging in the middle. So for the northern arrow, we have perceiving emotions, the ability to identify and recognize one's own emotions and those of others around them. From the eastern side, we have understanding emotions, the ability to understand complex emotions and how they link to other emotions one may be experiencing. From the south, we have managing emotions, the ability to control emotions in yourself and others. Then from the west, we have using emotions, the ability to generate specific emotions and use these emotions with interpersonal interactions with others, within interpersonal interactions with others. So perceiving emotions, understanding emotions, managing emotions, and using emotions. This is Solovey and Mayer's emotional intelligence model. Emotional intelligence, or EQ, is crucial for effective interpersonal communication, as individuals with higher EQ tend to be more sociable and less socially anxious. Due to both their sociability and lower anxiety, individuals with a high EQ are more socially skilled and tend to have higher quality interpersonal relationships. A closely related communication construct originally coined by Melanie and Stephen Booth Butterfield is affective orientation. As it is conceptualized by Booth Butterfield's, affective orientation, or AO, is the degree to which people are aware of their emotions, perceive them as important, and actively consider their affective responses in making judgments and interacting with others. Under the auspices of AO, or affective orientation, the general assumption is that highly affective oriented people are 1, cognitively aware of their own and others' emotions, and 2, can implement emotional information in communication with others. Not surprisingly, the Booth Butterfields found that highly affective oriented individuals also report a greater affect intensity in their relationships. Melanie and Stephen Booth Butterfield later furthered their understanding of affective orientation by examining it in terms of how an individual's emotions drive their decisions in life. As the Booth Butterfields explain in their further conceptualization of AO, they are primarily interested in those individuals who not only sense and value their emotions, but scrutinize and give them weight to direct behavior. In this sense, the Booth Butterfields are expanding our notion of AO by explaining that some individuals use their emotions as a guiding force for their behaviors and their lives. On the other hand, or on the other end of the spectrum, you can have individuals who use no emotional information in how they behave and guide their lives. Although relatively little research has examined AO, the conducted research indicates its importance in interpersonal relationships. For example, in one study, individuals who viewed their parents or guardians as having high AO, or affective orientation levels, reported more open communication with those parents or guardians. Emotion. All right. Let's be focused on their emotion. How did that make you feel? Something like that. Therapist office. But just focus on the feelings, making them feel a certain way. Like, people might forget what you say, might forget what you do, but they won't forget how you made them feel. Very good quote. I'm paraphrasing. I'm not sure exactly how it was. Something like that, though. Let's see if we can switch over to something different now. Dogmatism. All right, there we go. Now we're right on point. We ended right where we wanted to. So we're going to pick up on personal social dispositions when we get back. Assignments, fine. Check. Cognitive dispositions, check. Locus of control, check. Cognitive complexity, check. And authoritarianism, dogmatism, check. Got an assignment. We'll come back to that. Switch up the topic here. Let's do topic A for additional research. Process of conversion. Process of conversion, or the conversion process, refers to transforming raw inputs into final output or desired goal. The steps depend entirely on your specific industry. Here are the most common conversion processes and how they work. 1. Digital marketing and e-commerce. In digital marketing, the conversion process or conversion funnel is the sequence of steps a user takes to complete a specific goal, such as making a purchase, signing up for an email list, or filling out a contact form. The funnel, it generally consists of 4 stages: awareness, interest, desire, action. Optimization, you can track and prove this process using Google Analytics Conversion Guide, which maps user journeys and identifies where visitors abandon the site. 2, manufacturing and production. In manufacturing, it is the fundamental business activity of transforming raw materials and human labor into finished marketable goods. Process, it transitions resources through stages like product design, work in process, or WIP, assembly, quality control, and final packaging. 3, religious or personal faith. In spirituality, conversion is the lifelong or transformative process of adopting a new set of beliefs, religious practices, or intensifying a prior commitment. Requirements, for instance, the process of converting Judaism to Judaism typically involves a minimum of 1 year study under a rabbi, a commitment to Jewish law, and immersion in a mikvah or ritual bath, and circumcision for males. Y'all doing too much. All right. 4, chemistry and petroleum refining. In engineering, this process utilizes physical or chemical methods to break down or alter raw materials, such as turning crude oil into usable fuels and lubricants. The steps, typical processes include physical separation, like distillation, or chemical conversion, such as reforming, cracking, and alkylation. Alkalis, alkali metals. Is metal the only thing that's alkali? I need to study chemistry. I need to get into that. We'll get more into that. I've studied it so much, but I haven't done it in a while, so I need to refresh myself. All right, 5, sales or lead conversion. In sales, the conversion process is the systematic action a sales team takes to nurture and move leads from a state of general inquiry to a finalized deal or scheduled appointment. Sweet. Give us a bunch of different options there. So it's a very versatile word. Nice. This one seems pretty interesting. I'm just going to go ahead and do this one too. The brainwashing debate. So I'll cover that too. Then we're going to go to accounting, finish the Smartbook, and then we can come back to reading in a second. All right, the brainwashing debate. It's up here. Centered. Ugh. It's all I see on the news. You kind of get sick of it. It's like, all right, I get it. You're doing a bunch of shit. It's genuinely helpful. All right, the brainwashing debate centers on whether extreme psychological coercion can completely erase a person's free will and replace their personality. While popularized during the Korean War and often associated with cults, the concept remains highly controversial in academic and psychological discourse. Project MK Ultra or Project Midnight Climax. Charles Manson. All right, here are the core components of the debate. 1, the skeptical scientific view. Mainstream psychologists and sociologists largely dispute the literal science fiction idea of mind control, arguing that human identity cannot simply be rewritten. Lack of scientific rigor. The American Psychological Association, or APA, rejected the premise that cults possess deceptive or coercive techniques capable of overriding individual agency. It's just more camaraderie and acceptance and protection and community and stuff like that, investment and stuff like that. People eventually become willing to accept certain ideas because they gain other benefits as a result. It's almost like a survival mechanism, but radical beyond redemption, right? Hyper persuasion over mind control. Experts emphasize that behavioral challenges in high pressure groups are better explained by social influence, environmental conditioning, and intense emotional manipulation rather than brainwashing. Rejection of DIMPAC, or DIMPAC. Read about the historical rejection of the APA's DIMPAC report on cults and coercive persuasion on Wikipedia. Make a note, DIMPAC, APA's DIMPAC report. Put that on research topics. To that later. The case for coercive persuasion. Many historians, sociologists, and legal experts argue that systematic coercive environments do exist and can profoundly compromise an individual's ability to make independent decisions. Behavioral conditioning. Historically documented methods include isolating subjects from their support networks, instilling strict obedience, using exhaustion, employing rewards and punishments to mold new behavior. Anti-cult perspectives. Proponents argue that high control groups and destructive cults use specific patterns of psychological manipulation to inflict serious trauma on individuals and break up families. Encyclopedia context. Explore the history and mechanics of indoctrination and manipulation tactics on Britannica. Up to the third section there, and that'll be our 3 for later. 3, brainwashing in the digital age. The debate has modernized, expanding beyond cults and Cold War prisons to include digital and algorithmic manipulation. Algorithmic influence. Some scholars argue that modern brainwashing occurs in everyday life through social media algorithms, tailored content, and targeted AI systems. Or just blocking, using your algorithms or people to block off people from certain channels or viewers, like maybe mine, but I like to have an internal locus of control, so I'm not going to go ahead and blame outside forces for that, even though to an extent it might not be like a total thing, but to an extent it's probably that, just because it tries to suppress things that don't necessarily coincide with their narratives or beliefs or what is I feel like they'll intentionally suppress things that they don't agree with or something like that. YouTube might be a big culprit in that, or might be very guilty of that. Just what I've noticed from what I've seen, what I've heard even from others. There's a lot of social media sites that are seem like they might even have a certain agenda of their own when it comes to say political stances and stuff. And if you don't align with what they're going with, they're probably gonna not have your content be as prominent, and your content's probably gonna be suppressed relative to other things that are more in line with what that company or those the leaders in that company are trying to push. So the Netflix seems a little bit more lenient. I gotta say relatively whatever there, but was it YouTube? Facebook, stuff like that, they're just highly filtered, and it's almost to the extent that it's shady, that they're suppressing things they don't agree with, and it's not genuinely right or wrong. It's not whether it's ethically or legally right or wrong. They're kind of skirting the wall, like they're doing stuff like staying within legal confines, but when it comes to ethics, like they're more pushing, like they're going to highlight things that they want out there that the company itself agrees with, and they're going to suppress ideas that they don't. And so I think YouTube and Facebook are two big ones that are guilty of this kind of behavior. But was it Twitter and Netflix seem to be doing a lot better, giving people more of a free platform to, or sorry, not Twitter, X, but give people more of an ability to express themselves. I mean, still monitoring certain things and making sure people don't like say too crazy stuff or like inciting violence or anything like that. So they're being reasonable, but there are still certain companies like this one that seem to have like an agenda, and if you don't align with it, then they're not really going to help you. All right, we're coming in hot. We're changing stuff, so I'll take care of it. We'll take care of it. We got to work together. We got to be able to call them out, put them on blast, son. Yeah, usually companies like this, like say Facebook and stuff like that, they'll fit within legal parameters, but also social uproar, social like backlash and stuff like that definitely can't influence them. So institutions and organizations with a certain level of power just need to be put in check and made sure that they're doing the right things, not just pushing certain narratives and having that, was it AWARWAWR RAWRWA mentality, whatever it was we just read. Things RWA, right wing authoritarianism. Tailored content, targeted AI systems, echo chambers. This modern lens shifts the focus from physical captivity to psychological conditioning via immersion and information control. All right, I'm going to look something up in a second, just because I don't want to be like, I want to be able to have some evidence for stuff I'm saying, because I've noticed it, but I like to be able to have something more tangible. Historical origins, to trace the historical roots of coercive persuasion from the old war to today. Explore the essay by Project Muse on the brainwashing dilemma. For background on this, from what we were just talking about regarding social media platforms and different narratives. I asked what social media sites are most right-wing, which ones are most left-wing, and which ones censor content the most, which ones are presumed to be the most guilty of pushing false or misleading or one-sided or biased narratives. Our response here: social media platforms differ widely in ideological leanings and content moderation. Yep. Platforms like Truth Social and Gab are highly conservative, while Blue Sky and Mastodon are heavily liberal, or lean heavily liberal. Mainstream sites are battlegrounds for bias accusations. Conservative groups frequently accuse mainstream platforms of liberal bias, while misinformation researchers often point to high rates of fake news among conservative users. Ideological spectrum, right-wing leaning, platforms such as Truth Social and Gab were built specifically as conservative alternatives to mainstream sites. X, or formerly Twitter, has also seen its user base become warmer towards conservatives in recent years. Left-wing leaning, newer decentralized platforms like Blue Sky and X Alternative and Mastodon have heavily progressive, anti-fascist, and liberal user bases. Content moderation and censorship, most moderated or censored most. These include most legacy platforms like Meta, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and TikTok enforce strict community standards regarding hate speech, harassment, and health election misinformation. Sure you do. All right, least moderated, or censors least. Platforms such as Telegram, Gab, and Truth Social pride themselves on free speech, absolutism, meaning they remove very little content aside from material that is legally required, for example, sex, child sexual abuse material, or direct threats. There you go, boom. There we go. So Telegram, Gab, and Truth Social are doing it right. So cool. Props to them. They're doing it right. YouTube, I know I'm using you right now, but yeah, you need to fix that. So TikTok, Facebook, and Instagram. Instagram is owned by Facebook, so it makes sense. But Meta, yeah, you guys need to lift those restrictions and stop trying to push narratives. False or misleading narratives and bias, conservative presumptions, studies, and watchdog groups consistently note that low credibility news. I'm just gonna pause. I'm not trying to bash on YouTube. I'm genuinely trying to help. Where it's I do realize that there's issues there, but at the same time, YouTube's great in certain respects. It is useful, and this is why I'm using it. But I will point out flaws still. So if there's need for refinement, I'm not going to hesitate to point that out. So definitely not afraid to point out flaws. So YouTube and I look at you guys are friends to me. You guys are helping me out, and give me a platform to get all this stuff out and do what I need to do. And so it's definitely a useful tool, but it can still use a lot of work. So a lot of changes need to be made. So not horrible, but not great. It's good, but it is some improvement. Lots and lots of improvement. That being one of them. It's not being so strict. So, and or direct threats. Okay, you can't do direct threats, obviously. False or misleading narratives and bias, conservative presumptions. Studies like watchdog groups consistently note that low credibility news is disproportionately shared by conservative accounts across platforms, making right-leaning networks and traditional right-wing sources highly scrutinized for spreading misinformation. Liberal or mainstream presumptions. Broadly, majorities of Republicans and conservative politicians feel that major tech companies censor conservative voices and push liberal narratives. Yeah, you can't be doing that either, though. So, yeah, it can't be spreading misinformation. So going too far one way with your free speech, but also can't be suppressing the free speech too. Both sides are doing too much. Let's go. Come on, man. Meet in the fucking middle. Let's go talk to each other. Open communication. Liberal, hold on. Narratives, algorithmic bias. Researchers often note that the algorithmic design of social media inherently rewards viral outrage, sensationalism, and extreme political viewpoints across both sides of the aisle, contributing to an overall erosion of civil discourse. Yeah, it's what's popular because it's what's most intense, what's most it catches your attention, highly emotional, kind of spikes your cortisol or spikes your it makes you react more. And so it kind of catches your attention when things are more intense instead of just having a sit down debate or civil discourse essentially. And so you have a bunch of people just spouting out the most extreme bullshit on both sides. and need less of that and more of the stuff that's just like, more informed, more well-rounded, more civilized, and just all around just more open to like debate and communication and genuinely trying to find the right answers. Because all these that are extreme, are they like popular? Yes, but popular is not always a good thing. Popular is just like what people just happen to be congregating to most, but that itself could be harmful and not helpful. Oh man, need energy. We need reason, man. Yeah, these companies, Instagram, Facebook, and stuff like that, they just promote the things that are most intense, the most radical, the most extreme, because it gets the most reactions. But these aren't the people that, or these aren't the posts and stuff that are the most helpful. They're the things causing people to be divided more and fighting more rather than bringing them together and talking more. Together right now. I'm gonna go ahead and type some of these notes into called chronological timeline of events in history. Tired, I'm like, this is my train of thought. I feel like I'm thinking of something. Trying to get a thought out, and it's like, oh, lost it. My brain's like, let's go to sleep. Got up 2 hours earlier than yesterday. I'm gonna aim for 2 hours earlier tomorrow, and then 2 hours earlier again. So cut it down and make the ideal time 7. In 1750 BCE, we had the 14th, 15th, and 16th dynasties of Egypt. This was a period of the Hyksos, an occupation of the. This is a period of the Hyksos occupation of Egypt. Split up in 2 different senses. I'm merging into one. And 1600 BCE, the 17th and 18th dynasties. This is the New Theban kingdom. It battles against the Hyksos. Amos the first occupies Palestine. Thutmose the first conquers Syria. And Thutmose the third wins the Battle of Megiddo. Sorry, I'm typing a little bit slower. I got a lot of unfamiliar words here. We got the 19th dynasty. Seti the first defeats the Hittites at Kadesh, and Ramses the second again invades Palestine and Syria. Oppression of the Hebrews, exodus of the Hebrews. Moses times. All right. 50. $221 to Egypt. I think it's Egypt, yeah. Um, 16. I'm going to go ahead and cover all of Egypt. And then we can come to Mesopotamia and Syria when we get back. BCE, the 20th dynasty of Egypt, with its capital at Thebes, Ramses III battles against the Sea Peoples. Who are the Sea Peoples? Let's mark that purple for research. Look into that further. D. Oh, sorry. The 21st dynasty. Dynasty 21. Dynasty 21, the capital is located at Tanis or Tanis, and this period marks the new decline of Egypt. History. If you do not know your history, you are doomed to repeat it. So let's learn from other people's mistakes. Let's learn vicariously, not repeat the same mistakes of the past. We can repeat the successes of the past, just not the mistakes, and improve upon the successes. Just because something's successful relative to other options doesn't always mean it's the best option. Still got to be looking for better options. Always room for improvement. All right, 950 BCE, Dynasty 22. Egypt holds influence over all of Palestine. This dynasty is ruled by Shishak I, in other words, or AKA Shishak. Go through this page, 23. Six, 6. Seven. Dynasty 28. '60, Dynasty 30. Whoa. That's the end of the 30 dynasties. Page, and then we can go on to, so we're not going to finish all of Egypt here, but I need to switch back over to managerial accounting. So I'm going to go ahead and finish this page, and then I'll switch back over to that. SD28, located at Bubastis. Egypt is broken up into little states. C24, founded by Tefnut and Bokoris, 730 BCE. In 715 BCE, we have the 25th dynasty, Nubian, founded by the Ethiopian Shabaka, unifies the Egyptian Empire. Dynasty 25 under Nubian rule and founded by the Ethiopian Shabaka, the Egyptian Empire is unified. 650 BCE, the 26th dynasty with the capital at Sais, the Saitic period. Nico invades Palestine and conquers Mari. Mari or Mari. Dynasty 26, 650. All right, in 500 BCE, the 27th dynasty. This is a dynasty of the Persians from Cambyses to Darius II, who governed Egypt as a province of the Persian Empire. When does the movie 300 take place? Like the story of the 300 Spartans standing up against the invading Persian forces? Like a whole entire army of like thousands or millions of Persians marching in. But they definitely do resist it to the point where it like cripples their forces or prevents them from doing things as quickly as they wanted to. We have the 28th dynasty. Dynasty 28 and 450 BCE. This dynasty is constituted by the Egyptian Amarteus, and it battles in resistance against the Persian domination of Egypt. 400, Dynasty 29. It's founded by Nepheritis the First. That's all that one says there. 360 BCE, the 30th dynasty. This dynasty is founded by drum roll, Nectanebo the First. Nectanebo first. It enjoys some prosperity until the Persians with Artaxerxes III reconquer Egypt in 342. It is the last indigenous dynasty. The Persian domination under the 31st dynasty lasts only a short time, since in 332 Alexander the Great puts an end to the two pharaonic civilization. Pharaonic civilization. page, we'll come back and pick up on the last little bit. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. For Egypt. And we can be starting going back and forth, mixing in Mesopotamia, Assyria, Persian Empire, Hebrews, Babylonia. There in Egypt from Alexander the Great to 30 BC. Bible? Since we're not really reading passages in the Bible or reading scripture or anything like that, that's like super, I guess this is educational, but it's like not really like Bible stuff as much. It's just kind of history and kind of laying the foundation. So what I want to do is maybe read the Lord's Prayer from Matthew 6:9 to 6:13. This is the full passage from the New King James Version. So not exactly as it'd be written in this book, but it's one I got online. So it's good to look at different versions as well. So we'll be reading the different version of the Lord's Prayer here. So let's see what that is. So from the New King James Version, the Lord's Prayer. Our Father in heaven, hallowed be your name. Your kingdom come, your will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our debts or trespassers, as we forgive our debtors and trespassers. New King James Version, it says debts. I just put trespassers from my it's like there's different translations that include it. And also it goes into the idea to split it up and offer the different options in newer versions. Anyway, and do not lead us into temptation, but deliver us from the evil one. For yours is the kingdom and the power and the glory forever. All right, so we got our Bible in for this video session. Go into Dispositions. All right, back to managerial accounting. Smartbook, baby. Hour and a half. We're doing pretty good on time. Cool. Do one little bit of the reading, so might as well. Measuring behavior. And let's do measuring behavior. Un momento. All right. So for measuring cost behavior, estimate costs using the scatter diagram, high-low method, and regression. Cost volume profit analysis, or CVP analysis, must separate costs into their fixed and variable components. Managers start by collecting actual cost data. 3 methods are then commonly used to estimate the fixed and variable cost components: scatter diagram, the high-low method, and regression. Each method is explained using the unit and cost data shown in Exhibit 21.4, which are from a startup company that uses units produced as the activity base in estimating cost behavior. Exhibit 21.4, data for estimating cost behavior, got month, units produced, and total cost for January through December. Placeholder numbers there. Scatter diagram. A scatter diagram is a graph of unit volume and cost data. In Exhibit 21.5, each point reflects total costs and units produced during each of the last 12 months. For example, March shows units produced of 25,000 and costs of $25,000. Yep. Oh. Fixed costs get even and variable costs are going to add to it based on how many units you produced or volume. Makes sense. The estimated line of cost behavior is drawn on a scatter diagram to show the relation between cost and unit volume. This line best visually fits the points in a scatter diagram. Fitting this line is sometimes done with spreadsheet software. This line in Exhibit 21.5 shows a mixed cost where fixed cost is about $17,000. The total cost is greater than zero, even when no units are produced. Variable cost increases in proportion to increases in units produced or volume. We discuss two approaches to better estimate the fixed and variable cost components of this mixed cost. All right, we go to the Smartbook here. And pick back up on high-low method. So we did 2 seconds, which is good. So yeah, we definitely don't do the bare minimum. So we can go a little extra. No just scrape by on this dojo. On this house. Nope. We are always above average, no matter what. A company has sales of $125,000, variable costs of $45,000, and fixed costs of $30,000. Break-even point in sales in dollars is the 125 minus variable minus fixed. Be minus both. So 125 minus 45, this could be 80,000, 50,000. I'm gonna say 50,000. Subtract both, and then the remaining sales is profits. And we need that to break even. Offense high, incorrect. Oh shit. Okay. Okay, that's a random number. That's okay. So it's not 125 minus 45,000, and it's not 125 minus 30,000. It is something else. Company has sales of $125,000, variable costs of $45,000, and fixed costs of $30,000. The break-even point in sales in dollars is, I said $50,000, but it says the answer is 46,875. I have no idea how I got that answer. Please explain.
In this case, that's 125,000 minus 45,000, leaving you with $80,000. Next, you calculate the contribution margin ratio by dividing that $80,000 by your total sales of $125,000, giving you 0.64 or 64%. Finally, you divide your fixed cost of $30,000 by that ratio to get the break-even sale, which comes out to exactly $46,875. Does that make sense how those pieces fit together?
Question in my idea. We'll figure it out. Practically perfect, so we'll get to it.
That is a fantastic attitude to have. Practice truly is key when learning new concepts. Don't worry about remembering everything right away. You can always come back to it whenever you need a refresher. I'll be right here whenever you're ready to dive back in.
By which a product unit selling price exceeds its total unit variable cost is the contribution margin ratio. Contribution margin per unit. Confidence medium is the contribution margin ratio. Okay. One of the other ones I answered last night was contribution margin per unit. I got that right. So, okay. You just got to be precise in the definitions here. Oh, I should have known. Okay, so percent. Yep. That's going to be a ratio right off the bat. I didn't even have to read the whole thing. Just read the first two words. I should have been able to figure that out. My bad. All right. The percent by which a product's unit selling price exceeds its total unit variable cost is the contribution margin ratio. 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 All right. A company has sales of $125,000, variable cost of $45,000, and fixed cost of $30,000. Contribution margin ratio is, it's going to be $45,000 subtracted from $125,000, $80,000. $80,000 divided by 125. Is that what you said to do? What is what is $80,000 divided by $125,000?
That division comes out to 0.64, which is the same as 64%.
All right, so we had another question like I was asking about before. I just want to make sure I'm right. A company has sales of $125,000, variable costs of $45,000, and fixed costs of $30,000. Contribution margin ratio is 64%. Did I get that right?
%4 ratio. You're doing great with these calculations.
Oh, thanks your help. Because its usefulness in CVP analysis or cost, volume, profit analysis, managers generally use an income statement in which format? Educate me. Need help here. I haven't learned this concept yet, so I might need some explanation. But I have a question here. Because of its usefulness in CVP analysis, managers generally use an income statement in which format? Traditional income statement, break-even income statement, gross margin income statement, or contribution margin income statement?
Just a contribution on the income statement. Because it perfectly aligns with the analysis. Unlike the traditional format, which sorts costs by function like production or selling, the contribution margin approach categorizes costs by their behavior, splitting them into variable and fixed costs. This separation makes it much easier to see how changes in sales volume and costs impact operating income. It's a really powerful tool for making decisions about pricing and production levels. Are you interested in seeing the specific layout of this type of income statement?
I'll get to the textbook. Break-even point is the sales level at which a company, select all that apply, income of 0, contribution margin. Break-even point is the sales level at which a company incurs a loss, or contribution margin equals fixed costs, or contribution margin equals variable costs, or has an income of $0, or has a profit equal to fixed costs. Which of these answers are correct and why?
You've got two concepts there. The way that sales income of exactly $0. This means that the total contribution margin is exactly equal to the total fixed costs, which is why the profit is 0. Are there any other parts of this concept you'd like to explore?
How would I know these answers? Or can you please explain this concept to me a little bit deeper so I can understand it in case this question comes back up?
Which don't change based on how much you sell. On the other side, you have your total contribution margin. This is the money left over from sales after you pay for the direct cost of making your product. When those two amounts are exactly equal, your business isn't making a profit or a loss. It's precisely at the break-even point. Does that visual help make sense of the relationship?
Yes. CVP chart, the line which crosses the vertical axis at $0 and slopes upward represents the total sales. A company has. I want to try to do it. Okay, so a company has fixed costs of $50,000 while manufacturing a product that has variable costs of $4 per unit and sells for $14 per unit. The break-even point is blank. This comes $50,000. Ugh. So break-even point in units is what we want. Okay, so break-even point in units is supposed to be fixed costs divided by contribution margin per unit. So it's $10 per unit. Fixed cost of $50,000 divided by 10 is going to be 5,000 units. Confidence very high. Let's go. Yeah, correct. Oh yeah. All right, cool. Formula came in handy, so cool. I'm taking good notes for the exam. Sales and break-even sales divided by expected sales. Is and adequate if greater than 15 to 20%. I need your help. So I have a question here. It says select all that apply. The margin of safety is the amount sales can drop before the company incurs a loss. The difference between expected sales and break-even sales divided by expected sales, or always expressed as a dollar amount, not units or percentages, and adequate if greater than 15 to 20%. I selected the first two, the amount of sales and the difference between expected sales. What do you think?
Yes. You're grasping those concepts so well.
Let's find out.
Sorry.
Amount sales can drop before the company incurs a loss, and it's also the difference between expected sales and break-even sales divided by expected sales. Sales applied, estimated sales. RST company produces a product that has a variable cost of $6 per unit. The company's fixed costs are $30,000. The product sells for $10 per unit. The break-even point in dollars is blank dollars. So, contribution margin divided by contribution margin. The break-even point in dollars is the fixed cost divided by contribution margin ratio. Sales ratio minus variable cost ratio. Sales 10 minus 6, 4. So the contribution margin ratio is 4. Cool, got that. Fixed cost divided by 4. 30,000 divided by 4. What's 30,000 divided by 4?
That comes out to 7,500.
Oh no, we got it wrong. Maybe hold on. I think I might have said that wrong. Okay, so it's 75,000, not 7,500. But the question was, RST company produces a product that has a variable cost of $6 per unit. The company's fixed costs are $30,000. Product sells for $10 per unit. I took 10 minus 6 to get 4, then divided 30,000 by 4. You said 7,500, but the answer is 75,000.
You are absolutely right, and I apologize for the error in the previous calculation. The calculation you performed, $30,000 divided by 4, gives you the break-even point in units, which is 7,500 units. To find the break-even point in sales dollars, you then multiply those 7,500 units by the selling price of $10 per unit, which gives you $75,000.
All right, that's the part. Okay, so
I'm sorry about that.
no, you're good. You're good. You're good. You're good. That was my fault. I think maybe I just didn't have the full formula. So correct me if I'm wrong. I have the break-even point in units is fixed cost divided by contribution margin per unit, and then the break-even point in dollars, I had fixed cost divided by contribution margin ratio. But should I add that to multiply the fixed cost divided by contribution margin ratio by selling price as well? Was I missing a component there?
You actually don't need to multiply that result by the selling price. The formula you have, fixed cost divided by contribution margin ratio, gives you the break-even point directly in sales dollars. Multiplying by the selling price is what you would do if you first found the break-even point in units and then wanted to convert that to a dollar amount. So both approaches work perfectly.
I'm confused. All right, whatever. Moving on. Contribution margin ratio is interpreted as a percent of the contribution margin ratio is interpreted as the percent of each sales dollar that remains after deducting unit variable cost. Got it. The formula used in a contribution margin income statement is sales plus fixed costs equal. So here I have sales minus variable costs equal contribution margin, and contribution margin minus fixed costs equals net income. Go, yep, cool. So that formula is correct. Thank you. Notes. The company has a break-even sales of $200,000. If the company expects sales of $500,000, the margin of safety is $300,000. Oh, sorry. It's looking for a percent. My bad. Okay. It is 250%. See if I can do my math. No, damn. Okay, so 200 out of 500. It's not 200. Okay. What's I doing? So I was doing 500 over 200 instead of 200 over 500. Just swapped them. All right. Break-even sales, you're doing that out of expected sales, which is 60%. Makes sense. On a CVP or cost volume profit chart, the horizontal line represents the fixed costs. Are you fucking fucker? What? All right, it's total costs. All right. On a CVP chart, the horizontal line represents total costs. CVP chart, horizontal line represents total costs. I was so confident about that too. I was like, damn, that one's easy. I'm like, nope. Still got more to learn, boy. Drill it in, son. Drill it in. All right. A company has a margin of safety of 20%. If expected sales are $50,000, then break-even sales are say 20% of 50,000. Multiply that by 200,000. 20% would be 1,000 by 2. Did a lot of extra steps. Whoa, what? Apparently it's 40,000. Margin of safety is 20%. Okay, so you're subtracting 10,000 from the 50,000. So break even will be 40,000. Okay, so I was missing something. Cool. Margin of safety. All right, yeah, we haven't read that part yet. So back. Next. A company has sales of 125,000, variable costs of 45,000, and fixed costs of 30,000. Breaking point sales in dollars is blank. So $80,000. $80,000. A company has sales of $125,000, variable costs of $45,000, and fixed costs of $30,000. The break-even point in sales in dollars is blank dollars.
The break-even point in sales is $46,875.
How'd you get that answer?
I found the contribution margin by taking the sales of $125,000 and subtracting the variable costs of $45,000, which leaves $80,000. Next, I calculated the contribution margin ratio by dividing that $80,000 by the total sales, giving us 64%. Finally, I divided the fixed cost of $30,000 by that ratio to get the break-even point of $46,875.
Part. That percent. Fixed cost by that percent. I guess that's the break-even dollars. Oh boy, here we go, man. The percent by which a product's unit selling price exceeds its total unit variable cost is the percent by which a product's unit selling price exceeds its total variable cost is the margin of safety, contribution margin ratio. I got this wrong before, so I should remember it. Boom, correct. Hurts me when I get shit wrong, man. Stings like a muff. Get that shit right. Company produces a product with a contribution margin per unit of $36. If the company incurs $62,000 in total fixed costs and expects to sell 2,500 units, their income would be blank dollars. So income, maybe I can use this first formula here. So net income, contribution margin, is that the total contribution margin or contribution margin per unit? So I'm gonna go, what is 2,500 times 36?
That calculation results in exactly 90,000.
What is 90,000 minus 62,000?
Calculation gives you 28,000.
I'm just asking, I already knew it. Okay. I'm a whiz at math. Yeah, it's not. It's weird because I hate math more than anything. It's so tedious and time consuming. It's like, oh, math makes me want to punch holes in walls. But it's something I know I'm good at, so I guess.